Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to my very first Geoguessr explanations video. So this is going to be a new series that I'm going to start where I go through each and every continent and explain all the different countries that have coverage and how you can get them instantly in Geoguessr. So when you're dropped in a certain place and you know it's in Africa somewhere, for instance, you can tell right away which country it is. So in this video, we are going to be starting off this series with the African countries. I'm starting off with Africa for a few reasons. First of all, Africa has the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest meta in terms of cars uh, and locations, languages, all of that kind of stuff. Road lines, generation cameras, all that kind of stuff. So that's one reason I'm starting with Africa. The second reason um, is because Africa actually doesn't have that many countries that have Google car coverage, and I'll only really be going over the countries that do have Google car coverage. So Tunisia, Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, Botswana, South Africa, Lesotho, and Eswatini. And in addition, I'm also going to be going over Madagascar because I've got Madagascar many times in Trekker form, and I never knew it was Madagascar until I actually learned the tips and tricks. So I will be showing you some Madagascar tips as well. Um, anyway, so let's get started with the video. I hope you enjoy. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any feedback or questions throughout this series. Let's get started. So the first country I want to look at is South Africa. It's the biggest African country that has Google coverage, and the main tips and tricks to tell that it's South Africa. The yellow lines on the outside, normally they're solid yellow lines, and white dashed line, or I think as you can see up there, it's like a white solid line in the middle. So yellow outer lines and white inner lines tell you it's South Africa. Now, a lot of African countries have this. They have these yellow lines on the outside. So what? How can you tell South Africa apart from it? South Africa has Generation 2 camera. What does that mean? Well, it's the type of camera that is used, and it's only used in South Africa out of these types of countries that have these yellow lines. So the way you can tell it's Gen 2 is this circle. It kind of looks blue here, but it's like this big blurred out circle around my car that you can kind of see. And if you can't really notice this blur, then the other tip is to look at the sky. It's got like this big blur around the sun. This like big purplish circle. You could tell it's out of place. That is Generation 2 camera. It'll have a blur around the car and a blur around the sky. Another tip, sun is in the north, so my compass over here, it's kind of pointing northeast. The sun's kind of in the northeast here, or sorry, the northwest. Um, but yeah, as long as it's in the north a little bit, it's considered in the north. Sometimes that's a little tricky to tell, but South Africa is all the way down at the bottom, so sun will always be in the north for South Africa. Another tip is to look around and see it's pretty flat, but there are some mountains in the distance. Very, very dry. Um, but you will get like not modern. You will get urban South Africa at times, and you'll see like red picket fences and or sorry, red metal fences, and you will see like stop signs on the left side of the road to indicate that you're driving on the left. Here we don't see too many signs. We do see this side, which kind of lets us know that we are driving on the left. Um, so that's another thing. Most of these African countries drive on the left. Yeah, this side's also on the left if you're on that side. Uh, so yeah, so if you are placed here, just look for the Gen 2, look for the sun in the north, look for the road lines, and kind of look around the landscape. And it's not completely flat, but it's flat enough to be South Africa. Moving on, this is Lesotho, which is the country inside South Africa. It's completely landlocked inside of South Africa. And Lesotho, you can actually tell it really easily, um, not just because of the same yellow lines and white lines on the inside, um, but because if you look around, you do not have this Gen 2. You do not have that blurred circle. It's a little clearer. This is Gen 3, I'm pretty sure. Um, Always the white car. I think it's always the white car, Lesotho. There could be a black car. I might be mistaken on that. But here we have the white car that's shown at the back. It's definitely shown on the back. So if you see a car that's kind of shown here, and Gen 3 without that circle, it's Lesotho. But the big tip for Lesotho are these hills, more like mountains. So Lesotho is surrounded by these mountains, and they're not ordinary mountains. They're kind of like these like flattened mountains. So instead of like normal mountains that have like a peak, they're kind of like mounds. They're like kind of like big ant hills almost. So if you see this everywhere, and I mean like everywhere, like the only reason you can't see them over here is because there's this big mound blocking it. They are definitely in the distance over there too. And they're definitely in the distance over there as well. This kind of hut uh, looks very African. Uh, Another thing about Lesotho is it's very green. It's not as dry, very green, and then like these dirt patches are often found in Lesotho. The main trick, though, are these enormous mounds. So if you see like South African type lines and you know it's African, just take a look around. And if you see these big mounds, you are most definitely in Lesotho. Now you have to be careful because sometimes you could be in South Africa, and you're just in the distance. You can see Lesotho in the distance. Like for example, you could be like here and you could just see the big mounds that are here. So just be careful with that. But you could tell the difference between the generation cameras with that. The next country is Eswatini. Uh, this one is a little trickier to get. You still have like the typical African lines, yellow on the outside, white on the inside. They can be dashed or solid. Um, it kind of just looks African with the kind of like the dirt, this almost like this red soil, and a little greener than South Africa as well. So that's another way to tell it's Eswatini. And the big difference is the Gen 3 again. So you can see the back of the car. Um, Unlike in South Africa, there are some places in South Africa that don't have Gen 2, but it's rare. Normally it's Gen 2 in South Africa, and here it's Gen 3. So we see the back of the car, we're like, okay, it's not South Africa, and we know it's not Lesotho because if you look around, there are no huge mountains with big flat spots on top of them. Now there are like little hills in the distance, like over here there are mountains, um, but like they're very far away and they're like it's like a continuous mountain. It's not like big fluctuating lumps. So very dry. Sun is obviously going to be in the north because we're in the southern hemisphere. Um, Sometimes you'll get like this kind of like this African language here. Sometimes you might get English too. So hard to tell. But yeah, those are all clues that point towards Eswatini. The next country, which is going to be like the last of the very similar countries, because as you can tell, they're all like in this area. The next one's Botswana. So it's only these four here that have coverage in this area. So Botswana, um, right here, still has yellow lines on the outside and white lines on the inside. Driving on the left here, as you can see, the stop sign is on the left. All of those countries drive on the left. Um, Botswana here does not have Gen 2. Now, don't mistake this blur for Gen 2. this blur is Gen 3, or this actually looks like Gen 4. It's really clear. Um, this blur is not like a circular blur. So if we go back to South Africa, this is kind of like a circular blur. Botswana doesn't have that. It's just the blur of the car. Another way to tell is if you look at the sky, there's no big round blur circle. So if you can't really tell the difference between the car and you're like, what is he talking about? Like they're the same. Uh, South Africa, you look at the sky, you see this big blur. Botswana, there is no blur. Sun is going to be in the north again. And Botswana is very, very, very flat and very dry. So if you look around, yeah, we do actually have a lot of trees here, but you will get roads in Botswana that are just big flat pieces of land, and there's just nothing for miles and miles on end. It's rare to get like urban Botswana, but rural Botswana you'll get all the time. So basically, if you are in the middle of nowhere and it's just a long straight road, and it's very dry and very flat, it is almost guaranteed to be Botswana. Granted, you don't have the Gen 2. The next country is going to be Uganda, which is up here. So we're going to start moving up. So Uganda next to Kenya, they both have coverage, but there is some extreme distinctions here. Uganda has some insane car meta. Um, yeah, so if you get this Google car with it's like a white van with these two black mirrors sticking out, and it kind of looks like blocky, like it's a very blocky looking car and blocky looking mirrors. You are 100% in Uganda. There's no other country in the world that has this type of car. Don't mistake it, because some of the cars have like these types of mirrors, but they also have bars. Uganda does not have bars on the car, like the roof rack, which you'll see a little later. No roof rack for Uganda, just mirrors, and you can tell it's a white van. The other thing for Uganda is that Uganda drives on the left, um, just like most of the African countries. There is English in Uganda. This is a very urban part of Uganda. Normally, you can get like normally it is urban Uganda because 90% of the coverage is in Kampala. So most of the coverage is in the capital city of Uganda. Um, yeah, so you'll be able to tell it right away if you see this car. Now, there's another area of Uganda that most people have never gotten, and when they get it, they will never ever know that it's Uganda. I've only gotten this once, and I thought it was South Africa because of the Gen 2. You see the blur, this circular blur. And if you look at the sky, uh, it's a little. Actually, we don't really have a blur in the sky this time. So this is kind of what threw me off. I would have never guessed that this was Uganda because it's just very weird and it kind of looked like South Africa, which is the reason I wanted to show you this part of Uganda. So the only place in Uganda that you would get this is like on this road, or it's one of these roads up here. Um, it only has a little bit of coverage. You'll probably never ever get it. I've only gotten it like a handful of times. So I wanted to show you anyway, just because I thought it'd be interesting to tell the difference. So anything in Kampala has that Google car with the mirrors. Anything up in like this area, which again is like nothing, looks like this. Generation 2, this big blurred circle, and this like back rack, almost like the back rack of a four-wheeler. Um, Black barred back rack that kind of looks like this. You will never see this in another country, or it's very rare anyway. So if you do look around your car and you see this circle and you see this black back rack that will never be covered, I don't think the blur ever covers it. You're in the top part of Uganda. It's one of those roads. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's this one, but yeah, I wanted to show you that just because I thought it was interesting how this part of Uganda has Gen 2 and this like weird back rack. The next country is Kenya, and Kenya is the easiest country in the world, in my opinion, to get. Like you just can never go wrong with Kenya. because of one thing: the snorkel. So all of the Kenya Google cars, or all of the ones I've come across anyway, have this little snorkel hanging off of the side of the car. Now, sometimes Kenya will have this roof rack, but don't depend on it because it will not always be there. The main part of Kenya is the snorkel. Now, if you look around, Kenya, yes, drives on the left, just like most of the African countries. There is English, um, and yeah, it just looks African. So if you look around, it looks African, and you see this snorkel right away, you know it's Kenya, 100%. Now I'm going to show you another part of Kenya, um, because Kenya cars can also have this kind of snorkel. So this is a different kind of snorkel, but this snorkel also means Kenya. They both of these snorkels mean Kenya. It's just a different type of snorkel. It's two different car coverages. So if you get either of these cars with these types of snorkels, you are in Kenya. And it just so happens that this was the roof rack too, but never depend on that. Look around, you see the English, you see it looks African. You look down here, you see the snorkel. It is going to be Kenya. The next one is also, it's probably the second easiest country to tell in the entire world. This is Ghana. And the way you can tell that this is Ghana is, well, you can look around, realize that it's African. You see some English. Driving on the right in Ghana. That's an interesting point to figure. This is the first African country that drives on the right. So keep that in mind. But the main way to tell that it's Ghana is by looking at the roof rack. So Ghana has a roof rack. Big deal. A lot of countries have a roof rack. Ghana is the only country, though, that has a roof rack with this tape around the front right bar, the front right end of the bar. So if you look around, you see, okay, I'm in Africa. There's some English. You look down at the roof rack and you see this tape. You are 100% in Ghana. There's no other country that has the tape in the top right corner. That is. Um, I've never come across any tape on any of the other cars, but I think there's some of the like the Caribbean islands that do have it, um, that I've never gotten. But yeah, if you see this tape, you're in Ghana, 100%. Okay, the next one is similar to Ghana, but not. It's Senegal. The reason I say it's similar is because Senegal has a roof rack also, and that's basically the easiest way you can tell that it's Senegal. Um, if you look down at your car and you see the roof rack, no tape on it, just a roof rack. And normally in Senegal, if you look closely here, one of the mirrors is generally not blurred out. Sometimes it is, so don't get caught up in that. But other times you'll see this like green mirror that is sticking out. It's always the right mirror, by the way. So if you look around your car and you see, oh, I have a roof rack. Is my mirror blurred out? No, it's not. 100% Senegal. If you see just this one mirror, this one green mirror that's not blurred out. Now, if you're unsure and you're like, okay, well, a lot of countries have this roof rack. A lot of countries have non-blurred mirrors. I'm still not sure. Look at the sky. What does the sky tell you? Well, these are called, these lines in the sky are called rifts. So it's basically glitches in the camera that causes these big lines, these big glitched lines in the sky that are called rifts. If you see this, these like weird glitched out lines, you are in Senegal. 100%. There are some European countries that have these lines, but if you look around and you see the roof rack with the mirror or without the mirror, combined with these glitched out lines, you are 100% in Senegal. Okay, this next one is a little trickier to find, but it is Nigeria. Driving on the right side of the road, so similar to Ghana, and also I forgot to mention, I think Senegal also drives. Yeah, Senegal also drives on the right. So we're getting into the right hand driving countries. So Nigeria drives on the right. The main thing for Nigeria is you looked at your car, it's all blurred out, no roof rack, no mirrors, nothing to really help us out with, no colored Google car. Look behind you. If you see this follow car, you're in Nigeria. So what's a follow car? Well, I don't really know exactly what a follow car is. All I know is that it's a car that follows the GeoGuessr Street View car all over Nigeria. And Nigeria is one of the only countries that has this type of car that follows the Google car. Hence the term follow car. Now, this follow car is normally a Toyota. Normally, it's a white Toyota, and sometimes, in this case, we actually got it. It has like these police colors, so it has like the red, white, blue on top. I guess that's like a roof rack. So if you look around and you're like, okay, this looks very dry. It looks like it's in Africa. I don't have any information from my Google car. Turn around, and if you see this bad boy, you are in Nigeria. Now, there's another instance. There's another variation of Nigeria, and it is this car. So if you turn around, yeah, you see the follow car again. We can actually see it a lot clearer in this one. There's the red, white, blue. Um, Keep in mind that it will not always have this red, white, blue. It could just be a white Toyota. Okay, so it could just be a white Toyota follow car. And sometimes it can be way off in the distance too. It just so happens it's close here. But sometimes in Nigeria, you will get this car, and this car is really cool. You have the exposed mirrors, and it's like a white van. So it's like, okay, it kind of looks like the Uganda car, but here's the difference. This really cool roof rack. This is the only country in the world that has this type of roof rack, and it is really cool. It's like it's like black and yellow striped. It kind of reminds me of like caution tape or something like that. So this like black and yellow striped roof rack, which is the coolest roof rack out of the roof racks. If you see this, you're in Nigeria. It's just another version of Nigeria. So keep in mind, sometimes it's completely blurred out like this one. So you gotta look for the follow car. Other times, the black and yellow striped roof rack gives it away right away. Okay, the next country, which took me a while to find some good coverage of because it doesn't have too much coverage. This is Tunisia. So Tunisia, a few interesting things about Tunisia. There are a few different variations. Driving on the right. Um, Another thing is Tunisia has a follow car as well. So this type of follow car is slightly different than the Nigerian follow car. The difference being that this one's a little more greenish yellow or even like beige, I guess. And it's also a Toyota. The plates in Tunisia is the big difference. So if you see these white plates with a black strip in the middle, you might be able to see it better on this car. These like white plates, and you see like this black strip in the middle. You know you're in Tunisia. Very dry, very flat, very arid. You can tell right away that it's Tunisia. Nothing gives it away about the Google car. So if you think you're in Tunisia, look around a little bit, turn around, and if you see this follow car, you are in Tunisia. Now, another version of Tunisia looks like this. This is a more urban version of Tunisia. I want to point out the Arabic. Tunisia is the only African country that has Arabic and coverage. Like Morocco and all those countries have Arabic as well, but Tunisia has coverage. So Tunisia is the only Google coverage country that has this Arabic. So if you see it, you might as well just guess Tunisia right away. Um, but keep in mind it could be like an Asian country like United Arab Emirates or something like that. So keep that in mind. This follow car is different. So this follow car kind of looks more like the Nigerian follow car without like that roof rack. So that's why sometimes I get Nigeria and Tunisia mixed up. The big difference is the plates. So the plates again, they are white with a black strip. And yeah, if you get this follow car as opposed to this follow car, just know that you can also be in Tunisia. So Tunisia is a bit of a hard one, but you'll like never get Tunisia because there's not too much coverage there. The third version of Tunisia I want to show you. I know I'm boring you with Tunisia, like who cares? But the one last thing I want to show you, because I've had so much trouble finding coverage in Tunisia that shows this, and I finally found it. Tunisia can also have fully black plates with a red strip on the far left. So kind of similar to Europe where there's like a blue strip on the far left. Tunisia has fully black plates with a red strip on the far left. So if you get white with a black strip in the middle or black with a red strip over here, you know you're in Tunisia. Now, if you turn around, you realize there's no follow car. So that's an indication that the follow car will not always be there in Tunisia, which is a shame because you're turning around and you're kind of hoping for a follow car, like a Toyota. It's normally a Toyota, as seen in these ones. Um, yeah, sometimes it's just not going to happen. So I looked everywhere for the black follow car because there is a black Toyota follow car with that type of plate on it. This black plate with the red strip. There is that black follow car. It's just I looked everywhere and I cannot find it. But if you watch my past Geoguessr videos, I actually have gotten a Tunisia round, I believe, and I have gotten the black follow car before. So definitely check those videos out, and you'll definitely see the black follow car. I just can't really find it right now. Also, more Arabic over here. Now, just very quickly, the difference between Tunisia and Nigeria, because they both have follow cars. Nigerian plates are just white. They're small white plates with no stripes on them. And Tunisia, right, black, white with a black strip or black with a red strip. The last place I want to show you is Madagascar. Now, Madagascar does not have Google car coverage, so don't start looking down for a car because you won't find one. To tell that it's Madagascar, I've often been placed in Madagascar near these huts. So these cool little shacks that I really like actually are like they kind of have like these straw roofs, maybe bamboo. Really, really cool huts. Um, if you ever see these huts and kind of like these big beaches, lots of sand everywhere, you are probably a trekker in Madagascar. Yeah, so no car and just these huts is a good indication that you're in Madagascar. Now, not always, but just a good indicator. Another Madagascar example is this one. So very bad camera coverage, but not terrible. Um, you can see some people here. You can barely see them, so that's how you can tell that the camera's not great. Um, these types of huts that kind of look similar to these ones a little bit. So if you see these types of huts as well, kind of these like straw roofs, just keep in mind you could be in Madagascar. No Google car, so that's a good indicator. And like these types of trees that are all over Africa, these like oil palms, I'm pretty sure they're called. Um, yeah, and just very dirt, like a lot of dirt, a lot of soil, and like this like tall grass indicates that you're in Africa somewhere. So if you think you're in Africa and there's no Google car, that's a good way to tell that you are in Madagascar. All right, that concludes this first video of this type of series. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If I missed anything, or if you have any like suggestions or feedback, please let me know in the comments below. The only way I can get better is through criticism. So I'm open to all feedback and comments in general. If I missed anything, yeah, let me know. So yeah, thank you again for watching. I'm gonna be doing I don't know which continents I'm gonna be doing next. Probably either South America or Europe. Maybe I'll do Asia, I'm not sure. So either way, if you want me to continue this series, definitely leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.